And where else to begin than in South Africa, where preparations are underway for the funeral of the anti-apartheid activist and cleric Desmond Tutu. Now, the city of Cape Town is planning a memorial service for Tutu for Wednesday tomorrow, and the Anglican Church is also expected to hold a separate memorial service while mourners have been visiting the Tutu home in Cape Town.
Joining us now to talk about the events planned for Tutu's burial is South African journalist and editor Diane Hawker. Good morning, Diane. Now, Tutu's home has seen several visitors arriving. Are we expecting more people to come in today?
Yes, absolutely. In South Africa, there is often a tradition where people will come to the home of the deceased to pay their respects. This has been something that we've seen continuing even with the COVID-19 pandemic. Although what we do see is that the number of people are reduced and oftentimes that those interactions take place just outside the home instead of people going into the house. Now, yesterday, President Cyril Ramaphosa visited the Tutu home along with some other members of government. Patricia de Lille, who is a close friend of the Tutu family, also joined in that visit, as well as Mampele Rampele, who is a member of the Tutu Foundation, but is also a struggle activist who also worked alongside Desmond Tutu during that struggle. So we're expecting that there will be more people arriving at the house today to pay their respects to the family. There's apparently a tent that is currently being set up outside the house, possibly to accommodate some of those additional visitors.
All right. Well, Diane, it's been just almost 48 hours since the passing of this great African icon. What's been the general mood in South Africa and also in Cape Town since the passing of this man, Desmond Tutu?
Well, there's been definitely a mood of reflection, I would say, on his legacy and what he has meant to South Africa and to South Africa's struggle. I think Desmond Tutu's role was a very unique one because he was not a political leader, like many of the other struggle stalwarts, but he was very, he was a religious leader and he always remained within that spectrum. But at the same time, he was able to work alongside those who are in the political environment. And that's what made him quite different. So there was a lot of reflection on that. And I think also reflection on the fact that Tutu continued with his activism even after apartheid. He spoke out quite strongly against, the Israeli occupation of Palestine. He has been an activist for climate change in recent years, as well as speaking out against the ruling ANC government for what he felt was unjust treatment of the Dalai Lama, who wanted to visit South Africa in 2011, but was disallowed because of South Africa's close ties to the Chinese government.
Now, Diane, Tutu was given the freedom of the city in Cape Town. What has the city planned to honor one of its most well-known residents?
Well, what we've already seen is that the city of Cape Town has put up a memorial outside St. George's Cathedral, which is one of Cape Town's oldest churches. And ordinary members of the public have begun leaving messages as well as putting photographs outside that memorial. And there is an official memorial service that is planned for tomorrow, which is going to be attended by the members of the Tutu family, as well as representatives from the foundation and the city of Cape Town's mayor, and possibly also people from national government. So that is what is planned for Cape Town. And of course, they've also closed the roads around the cathedral because they are anticipating that over the next coming days, more people will be wanting to come and pay their respects there.
All right, Diane, Tutu will be buried on New Year's Day, according to information that we're getting. So what else can we know about this event in terms of the international community, the African community coming to pay their respects? This is COVID-19 period, and South Africa will be having lots of visitors perhaps expected, or do we not?
Well, there is an expectation that there will be some international dignitaries, but it will be a tricky one because of the COVID-19 pandemic. At the moment, the restrictions for gatherings and for funerals don't allow for large crowds. But we might see that there will be some viewing areas that are created to allow members of the public to actually watch the proceedings. We are still awaiting additional details, but what we've heard thus far from the current Archbishop is that the funeral service will be held at St. George's Cathedral. It's quite an old church. It's more than 100 years old. And in itself, it doesn't really accommodate that many people. So there might be fewer than 200 people allowed inside that venue. But then at the same time, there's an expectation that there could be viewing areas located in Cape Town and possibly even in Johannesburg, because Tutu was a resident of Soweto at some point during his activism. And people have also been visiting his former home in Soweto to start putting flowers there and also to pay their respect. So there's likely to be an additional viewing area allocated there.
All right, Diane, just before we let you go, we've heard the comments on President Ramaphosa about the legacy and, achievements and the activism of Desmond Tutu. But what are other, South African politicians, dignitaries saying about him and what he means? He's been described back then as the voice of reason during the anti-apartheid struggle.
Yes, absolutely. I think that Desmond Tutu is one of those people who everybody agrees that he did amazing work in the struggle. And even though at times he wasn't in agreement with the methods of the ANC or other political organizations at the time, he was always kept with his goal that Black South Africans should be allowed to be free. And he spoke out very strongly against the apartheid government. The messages that we've heard coming have not only been from South African leaders, but they've been messages from presidents and leaders from around the world. The president of Ireland, for example, has sent a message. Former President Barack Obama has spoken about Desmond Tutu. Current US President Joe Biden has also sent a message. There's been a message from Richard Branson, for example, who spoke about how he taught Desmond Tutu to swim and how they developed a friendship in the later years of his life. So he's someone who has touched so many people's lives in different ways. And that has also been because he was always someone who was very humble. If you go on social media, you'll see that many ordinary South Africans have taken pictures with Desmond Tutu and are reflecting on their memories. And that's because he was someone who always made himself available, not just for political people, but also for ordinary South Africans. If you were at an event that he was attending, he would definitely make himself available to take a picture and have a quick chat with you, whether you are a journalist or just someone who was attending. So everyone is sharing those kinds of memories, but also speaking about how he was the moral compass of South Africa.
And that's why they call him the Arch, didn't they? Thank you so much, Diane Hawker, a South African journalist and editor, for coming on Breakfast Central this morning. Thanks again, Diane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, more top stories coming right here on the program.